Good evening. Welcome to the March 14th Historic Preservation Commission meeting in the City of Wilmington. Hearings before the Historic Preservation Commission are quasi-judicial in nature. This is a design review process to determine if the proposed project is congruous with the special character of the historic district or landmark. Decisions of the Commission are based on the record of these proceedings, the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, and the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. Evidence submitted to the Commission for review becomes part of the record. Appeals of Commission decisions are to the Wilmington Board of Adjustment and then to Superior Court and are based on the record. Appeals must be filed within 30 days of the date of the Commission's action. Evidence is received during the evidentiary hearing portion of an agenda item. Those who want to address the Commission are sworn as witnesses to present material and substantial evidence to the Commission. The Chair recognizes those who want to submit such evidence during the evidentiary hearing. Evidence should be directed to the Commission. To ensure that evidence is properly recorded, please come to the podium in the hall to address the Commission, state your name or address, state your name and address, and speak clearly. A brief reminder that members of the HPC are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of City Council. Our charge is with respect to the protection and preservation of the properties in the city's designated historic district. We are held to the standards of the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks and per applicable NC state law to determine if exterior changes are congruous with the special character of the city's historic districts. It is important that we deliberate the merits of each request in a manner that provides a record as to the basis for our decisions. Please remember that our deliberations should be centered on how a project meets the design standards and whether the proposed change is congruous or is not congruous. Commissioners, if you have received or been made aware of any outside evidence related to any of the matters, please recuse yourself. At this time, I would like to request that all cell phones are either turned off or put in silence mode, and thank you for that. Would like to introduce staff. Jessica Baldwin, Amy Bradshaw. Melissa Huffman. I'm slow today. Brian Chambers, I'm sorry. And if we may start stage right, please, with commissioners introducing themselves.
Ross Tomaselli.
Ashley Wilson.
I'm Christopher Yermel.
Allison Watts.
Joan Keston.
Oh, I'm sorry, Megan Basic. I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Megan. I think we will start with approval of the minutes from February 8th. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to swear in any folks that will be presenting tonight or working on these items with us.
So if I could have all the applicants, members of the public, staff, to please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Now the minutes.
Yes, the minutes from February 8th, 2024, are there any changes required of those? If not, if someone could please make a motion to approve those minutes.
Approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those pass. And I believe we will move on to the first item of business, new business, for 319 South 6th Street.
The subject property is located on the east side of South 6th Street between Ann and Nunn Streets and is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential. All facades and the site are subject to design review in this district. The Stewart House, built circa 1904, is a two-story gable front dwelling with an L-shaped porch. The porch features simple square balustrade with square corbelled brick columns. The main entry in the northern bay of the first story has a panel door with a single light transom and simple molded trim. A three-sided polygonal bay with 2/2 windows occupies the southern bay of the first story. The gable end has a 1/1 window, flanked by louvered vents, and is clad with butt-patterned shingles. Historically, the front gable was clad with diamond-patterned shingles. The applicant proposes to install an in-ground pool in the rear yard. The proposed pool will be a lap-foam fiberglass pool inside fire blue, measuring 11 feet and 1 inches by 20 feet and 3 inches with a 5-foot and 2-inch depth. The pool will be level with the grade. The proposed pool will have a concrete apron measuring 2 feet on the west side and 5 feet on all other sides. This was incorrectly listed in the case summary. The proposed pool will be set back 11 feet and 6 inches from the southern property line, 7 feet from the northern property line, and 7 feet from the western property line. Staff notes that the pool will not be visible from the street and that the 2 rear yard trees will be protected during construction. Staff would like to enter this presentation and report in tonight's proceedings at this time.
Any questions for staff?
Okay.
Thank you. We will now open the evidentiary proceeding. Anyone wishing to submit evidence? No.
We need to hear from the applicant first.
I'm a substitute. If we could hear from the applicant, please, assuming they're here.
When you come to the podium, if you could just state your name and address, please.
Sean Seidel, 319 South 6th Street.
Angela Seidel.
Any additional information in addition to the staff report?
I don't think so unless there are any questions.
Any questions from commission? Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We will now open the evidentiary proceeding. Anyone wishing to submit evidence is asked to come to the podium in the hall up front now. Please state your name and address and present your evidence. Seeing none, we'll move to commissioner deliberation. Ideas, issues? None at all? Would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the construction of an accessory structure. Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application's supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. The proposed request does comply with the Wilmington's design standards for historic districts and landmarks, is compatible with materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located. It is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district, residential as a whole. Applicable design standards 1.6, Secretary of Interior standards, 14910, 2.5 accessory structures, standards 2.7, 2.9 archaeology, standards 1 through 4, 3.1 roof features and chimneys, standards 1.7, exterior walls, 3.2 exterior walls, standards 1.4 through 6, 3.3 doors and windows, standards 2, 6 through 12, 3.4 foundation, standards 1.7, 13, 15.
Ms. Wilson,
I think
I think you're reading something
this is-
incorrectly.
This is item
Oh,
1
gosh,
right
I'm
there,
reading
that-
the wrong one. I'm so sorry.
starting with 1.6 and then 2.1.
Oh, because you put them in the wrong order in the folder.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They were out of order. 1.6 Secretary of Interior standards, standards 1 through 4, 8 through 9, 2.1 landscaping, standards 1, 5 through 7, 2.6 decks and swimming pools, standards 6 through 8, 2.9 archaeology, standards 2.4. I apologize. I thought that was a lot for a swimming pool.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Agenda item number 2, 416 North Fifth Avenue.
All right. if I sniffle a lot, pollen today is not my friend. 416 North Fifth Avenue, the subject property is located on the east side of North Fifth Avenue between Red Cross and Walnut Streets. Is a contributing resource to the historic district. Revisions to all facades of the building and site are subject to design review within this district. Built circa 1904, the Thaddeus Dixon House is a two-story side passage dwelling with a cross gable roof over the main body and hip roofs over the rear addition and front porch. The pedimented gable features a circular attic vent and windows are 2/2 sash with an enclosed stair on the north elevation. Historically, the enclosed stair on the north elevation along the front facade had a door or a window at different time periods. In 2022, MJW 2202-30 was issued for this property. The COA included storm windows, repairing all existing windows, the construction of a deck, and replacing all siding with kiln-dried treated pine special wood. The COA also included window opening modifications on the north side and east rear elevations, which you can see here. The two drawings along the top are the approved alterations, while the two on the bottom show existing conditions in 2022. No window openings were to be altered along the front or southern facades. Today, several window openings have been modified on all facades. Here you see the front, west, and southern side facades. The outlined yellow windows are openings that have been altered. The previous COA did not call for these alterations to windows. This slide shows that the windows along the northern facade have been altered. You'll see the photo on the right shows the 2022 previous conditions, and the photos on the left show current conditions, with the image at the bottom showing the alterations that were approved in 2022. This slide shows you the window openings that have been altered along the rear facade. In 2022, photo in the middle shows the previous conditions, with the photo on the left showing current conditions, and the image on the far right showing the approved alterations from 2022. The applicant proposes to install new cladding on all sides of the dwelling. The new claddings to be James Hardy plank lap siding, select cedar mill, and Arctic white with a 6-inch reveal. And the applicant has installed vinyl windows in all openings. The windows are Atrium 150 series, single hung, double pane, 2/2 sash, grill between glass with mullions in black. Staff notes that currently all siding has been removed from the dwelling, and staff notes that just north of the main entry, a new door opening was created. This door was located there historically and was removed but has been reinstalled. Staff also notes that the applicant installed current windows prior to approval. Staff notes all existing wood windows have been removed from the dwelling. Staff could not locate existing wood windows to determine if they were irreparable, and this is all according to the applicant and the previous applicant. And then according to the applicant, the previous property owner reframed the windows and door openings. Many of these do not reflect the approved document changes that were approved in 2022. We enter tonight's presentation into proceedings.
Are there any questions for staff? Yeah, go ahead.
I remember this house, and I don't remember that we said that they didn't say they were going to remove all of the siding, just they were going to keep the siding that was there and then replace it, the bad siding with that. Am I incorrect?
So my understanding is that the previous homeowner got into the project and it became a bigger project than he was capable of handling, and at that point, all the siding had been removed and there were no windows. And then the house went up for sale, and that's where the current owner has stepped in at this stage. In terms of how much siding was replacing, according to the COA, it just says that siding's to be replaced with special wood.
And
But I'm sorry, if I could interrupt, but it was repair siding in the original February 22nd, 2022 COA, correct? I'm reading that, and it says, like, after a handful of commas, install rear French doors, it says repair siding.
Hold on, I wrote it down in here. Let me find my notes.
I think during the presentation you made, you said replace all siding, but here it listed as repair siding.
Correct, it says the repaired siding would be wood lap 5 7/8. The house has not had siding on it since I started this job.
And did you have a follow-up, Ashley?
It did have siding on it before.
Yes, in
and-
2022.
and I was here, Chris was here. We approved the storm windows for the windows. We approved the repairs to the siding. There was no door over to the left. And
Ms.
That has
Wilson?
been recently approved by our staff, the door on the,
Okay.
on the
Okay.
like stairwell there, because there's historically been a window or a door there anyway, so we approved that through bypass recently.
You're saying that the siding came off before the current owner purchased the home, correct?
That is correct.
siding was, when the previous owner sold the property, the siding and the brick and the windows were up on the side of the house. They were still there. The windows were propped up in the house and propped up beside the house. The siding was all taken off and stacked up, as well as the brick.
I mean, my notes indicate that there was the opportunity for new siding and that all new the conditions included that all new siding shall match existing. So I assume that there must have been some time where it was decided that if siding had to be replaced, it would match existing, which is where the special kiln dried treated pine comes in. But when the current owners purchased the home, there was no siding at all on the home.
It was on the side of the house.
Like, it may have been resting there at the time of purchase, I do not know. I can't monitor that.
I have a question.
Okay.
The total removal of siding was not approved, correct?
My understanding is that the siding was allowed to be repaired in kind, and that repair may have meant that for whoever, the previous homeowner, was for it all to be removed.
So how does the new owner, how are they affected by what the prior owner did that was not approved?
That's for you guys.
Okay, but legally, they assume that situation so that they could be liable if we don't approve of something they've done?
They could be required to put the property back as it should be.
Even though they didn't do
And
it?
then their remedy would be against the folks who sold it to them in a civil matter.
So they would step into that position?
So the house changed hands presumably sometime after February 22nd, 2022.
Yes, I would say, the applicants are here, they can speak to that time frame. But yes. And like, again, as far as, since I've been here on this job, that house has not had any siding.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Would the applicant be able to come forward and answer some questions or add to the presentation? If you
How you
could
doing?
state your name and address, please.
Yeah, Mike Lassonde, 416 North Fifth Ave.
Okay. Would you like to add anything to that before we?
Yeah, so to address the windows and the siding that were on the side of the house, they were taken well off before we purchased the property. They were not stored correctly, and quite frankly, they were just rotted right out.
What was that approximate date when you took ownership?
Do you remember the date we purchased it? Yeah, September
22,
of
okay.
23, I think.
Of 23, last year, like last fall?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And like I said, everything was stacked up. Not everything. There was only a few windows left. They were in that pile. They were torn. They were broken. All the siding was rotted right down in the middle. There was nothing salvageable that we could pull out of there.
When you purchased the house, were you aware it was subject to Historic Preservation Commission?
No, I didn't. So this is our first historical home that we're redoing. I've learned a lot going through this whole process and learning about COAs and everything. I was not aware of the steps and stages that would need to be taken to kind of please the house.
When you purchase a house, you don't look at the zoning as into HD-R?
I knew it was in the historical district.
The zoning requirements are that it has to, it's required to be under certain conditions when you
I didn't.
purchase the home? You
No,
didn't know that?
I didn't look at that. No, I did not. I apologize.
Can you describe for us, when you assumed ownership of this around September of '23, can you describe, like, what did the house look like compared to what it looks like in this photograph that's being shown?
When we bought it, compared to what this photo is now, I mean, the foundation was crumbling. The front deck that you see there was unwalkable. The property itself was wildly overgrown. There were no windows inside the house at all. There was no roof. There was no roofing shingles. There was holes throughout the entire property. Water was coming in at all angles. On the inside of the house, there was no subfloor. There was no framing, all of that. There was some framing that he did, but none of it, in my opinion, would have passed inspection during that time. There were animals nested in the home. There were,
So
we sued too later, sorry to interrupt. We learned shortly after we bought it that it was actually on the verge of being condemned. And that's, we chose to buy it anyway, so don't get me wrong. We love the house and we can definitely bring it back to life. And quite frankly, we've gotten a lot of feedback from the neighbors, direct neighbors in and around the property, people walking by, even the mail carrier is excited to see this house kind of come back to life and be, not so much lose the footprint of the property, but, put that footprint back where it belongs.
I'm just trying to understand where it was last year when you bought it. So there was no siding on the house, correct?
It was the ugly green house.
But there was zip sheathing. This product was on the exterior walls, correct?
The
This
green, yes.
Green, that was
Green board,
there.
yep, that was
And
there.
the windows were.
No windows at all, not one.
They were just openings in the.
They were framed out by him, the locations of them were framed out. We kind of assumed that that's where the windows belonged,
Yeah.
and that's where we put them back.
But, and was this green board cut out at those window locations, or it was still covering it?
It was covered, everything was
Okay.
covered.
Okay.
So the windows you put in, are they wood or vinyl?
They are not, they're vinyl windows. We entered the property at one point, we found a squatter in the house, so we wanted to airtight it, seal it up as best we could with the materials that we could readily get and, use. So that's what we did.
And are they simulated divided lights? It looks like.
Can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Are they simulated divided lights? Like they're not the true, it looks like they're just the mullions are like this.
To the best of my knowledge, it should be in that packet, but that question was asked, I believe they are true, 2/2.
The information submitted, or that they're grills between glass.
Grills between the glass is what's in there now, not,
That was the information submitted to us, yes.
okay.
Have you purchased the siding you plan to use?
We have,
And it's the hardy plank?
it is.
Yeah, that's grills between the glass, I can see that.
I know, because recommendation from Planning Commission is wood windows and wood siding.
Right. Questions or for this applicant? And anything else to add?
Not this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now open the evidentiary proceeding. Anyone wishing to submit evidence is asked to come to the podium now. Please state your name and address and present your evidence. Anyone? Look like you're preparing. Would you like to speak? Okay, please come forward.
She has to be sworn in. She came late.
Oh, and I think you came in late, right. So if you could be sworn in, please.
And you'll just need to raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Make sure you state your name and your address clearly when you get to the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. If you state
Hello.
your name and address, please?
My name is Dorothy Sutton McBride, 410 North Fifth Avenue, Apartment 1, Wilmington.
Okay. Would you like to add anything to the evidence presented so far?
Well, I didn't hear the other. I'm here to complain about, I think, the next door neighbor, but it has not been determined 100% yet. What happened is there was a gas line hookup placed on my property in the backyard adjacent to the back porch. I did not call for it, I did not request it, and I called them to get a determination of how it came to be on the property.
I'm sorry, this is in relation to this house here, correct? You live next door to it?
I'm the second house over from
Okay.
that house, yes.
So a gas line came, is
Well-
going to this property and it crossed?
I don't know if it's that property or the one adjacent to it, which is next to me.
Okay.
And what they did, someone ordered a new gas line, placed it in my backyard, adjacent to my back porch, and where the fence is installed. And it was a surprise. And when I called them, the Duke Energy didn't know anything about it. And what had me very, very concerned was the fact that whoever put that gas hookup there, they turn it to face the house next door. And they moved and separated the gas lines that were already there, which is my line and the line for the tenant upstairs. One line was removed because it was a tenant there that was evicted, and they did minor damage to the gas line. So they took it out, which left my line and the other line for the tenant upstairs. But when I saw the new line, it has separated, it's a difference between the three lines. They're not as close as what they were before. And I don't understand why, when they put that new line in, why would they turn it and face the property this way, which is 412 and 414?
Do you know if this work was done since last September?
Yes,
It was?
yes,
Okay.
it was done within the last month.
And was it the applicants that are here tonight that are responsible for this work that may have been done to your property, to the gas line to your property, do you know?
I'm of the opinion that it's done by the person that owns 412 and 414. And the reason I say that is, less than a week after I noticed that and called the company to come out and check, they told me that was not their work. They didn't know anything about it. No calls came in requesting that. I says, well, I'm the owner. I definitely did not call in, and I would like to know who did it, because they drilled into the brick that's near the ground where the other one, mine, was attached and went underground to the basement area. So whoever put that new gas line there did a bum job in drilling into the brick and then running it underground, under the base, under the porch. So I'm very much concerned about that.
And you've called, I'm not
Piedmont.
sure what we can do. It seems like Piedmont Natural
Piedmont.
Gas, not Duke Energy. I mean, Duke
Not
Energy
Duke.
kind of runs Piedmont Natural Gas now, but I think Piedmont Natural Gas needs to be contacted just to come out and locate these lines and assign culpability and get it dealt with through
I called.
Piedmont Natural Gas.
He came out the first time. I explained everything. He looked at it. He asked me did I have the numbers. I said, no, this is new, and it's down low on the ground, and it's facing the house next door. And he didn't have any knowledge of it. He called the office, and they had no knowledge on record that I called. They don't know. I was told they didn't know who called it in to have it put there. He came back the second time, and he more or less tried to encourage me to leave it like that. I says, no, I don't know what they did. I don't know what damage is done to my property, and where it connects with mine and the other one, it's an opening. It's an opening.
Not really in our jurisdiction, I guess.
Yeah,
And
I
I think we should ask who she should call for help.
Yeah, I was going to ask Melissa or Brian if they can help in some way with this. I don't know if there's anything that has to do with the applicants on this agenda item at 416 North Fifth, or,
I went around to 3 city offices, and I ended up calling the police department and reporting it so it's on record.
Okay.
In case anything happened to my house,
Right.
because I'm concerned about
it's unusual.
how sincere, how well done was the job.
Try to help you get to the people you should speak with.
Ma'am, I'm going to come talk to you after this session, but I think we need to get you in contact with North Carolina Natural Gas and the Hanover County Building Inspections Department just to see what the normal process would be, and then we can try to nail down what actually occurred and then what next steps need to take place.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other parties want to speak on this evidentiary hearing? Seeing none, we'll close the evidentiary proceeding and move to commissioner deliberation.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that the current owners are not really responsible for a lot of what this condition is, but I don't think we can take that into consideration. We have to rule on this regardless of that fact.
We have to take it as it was done after the fact,
Yeah.
and how it would be before they could, if they asked permission, we would say what we
Ms.
would
Wilson.
say. What we would say if we asked for permission. If they asked for permission, what our recommendations would be at that point is all that we can do.
I mean, you can clearly see from the photographs that the windows that were there, when there was still wood siding and a burgundy colored trim, the windows weren't rotted beyond repair for sure. Maybe a sash here or two, which isn't unusual, but it's unfortunate because the windows that were there were better than what's been installed now.
Well, the former owner did not put in the vinyl windows, and the applicant seemed to know this is in the HD, so I'm a little mystified why they did not check on COAs and what kind of windows should have been put in.
And what the conditions were for the HD.
Correct.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
part of due diligence, and we can't correct
And
non-due diligence.
same with the siding, because Hardy Plank is not really approved for any homes that are contributory.
I mean, last I looked, the standard's still wood windows and it's wood siding.
Yeah.
So that's basically it in a nutshell right there.
So the purpose of this agenda item is for the applicant to seek approval of installing new vinyl windows and hardy board siding. I think I know where some of us are going with this. Ross, anything to add?
No.
Ally? Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
I will. I move to deny the installation of new windows and new cladding. Details are shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application of submittal materials and statements made at the meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based upon the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff reports, including the findings of facts. There's no conditions because it's a denial. This proposed request with conditions does not comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is not compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and characters of the historic building and historic district in which it is located, and is not congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential as a whole. Applicable design standards 1.6, Secretary of the Interior, standards 1 to 6, 9, and 10, 3.2, exterior wall standards 1 to 5, 3.3, doors and window standards 1 to 12.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Vote, can we approve it subject to the conditions instead, which require the wood siding and the wood windows, what the staff has as conditions?
Is there any objection to that concept? I think the one thing that we would probably like to see, if I might add, if we're going to go that route, is that they
I want to see what they're going to use.
put a reveal on there that matches, you know, wood siding and the reveal that matches the historic reveal of that old cladding that was removed. But I'm sorry, you're saying?
I think, you know, it needs to be.
Have them come back with that? Okay, then I second your motion.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is denied then. And agenda item 3, 112 South 7th Street. Jessica?
The subject property located on the west side of South 7th Street between Dock and Orange Streets is a contributing resource to the Historic District residential. Revisions to all facades of the building and site are subject to design review within this district. The Parsley House, built circa 1910, is a two-story, two-bay wide side passage dwelling. The gable end roof has a broken pediment and a central diamond-shaped louvered vent. The full-width, hipped roof front porch is supported by turned posts with decorative brackets and a turned balustrade. The front entrance features a three-quarter light paneled door and a single light transom. Historically, the house featured 1/1 sash windows. The applicant proposes to construct a 1.5-story accessory structure in the rear yard. The proposed structure measures 21 feet 5 inches wide by 11 feet 5 inches deep and 16 feet high, and is approximately 264 square feet. The structure is set back 2 feet from the rear property line, 3 foot 8 inches from the northern property line, and 9 foot 8 inches from the southern property line, and 61 feet 7 inches from the rear of the dwelling. The proposed structure overall will use wood clapboard with a 6-inch reveal, wood corner board trim, a slab concrete foundation rolled on grade, a wood board bands and flashing. A side gable roof will be clad in Owens Corning asphalt shingles in a slate gray with a 12/12 pitch. The proposed front facade will feature one double entry door located at the center of the facade as a Prestige Entries 4-light, 1-panel mahogany TLD double entry door with insulated bevel glass. 2 windows will flank the door, and they're proposed to be Gerald-Win W2500 wood single double hung 6/6 sash windows with simulated divided lights. The proposed rear facade will feature a shed-roofed storage room to extend 6 feet 6 inches in depth and located on the northwest corner. It will also be clad with Owens Corning asphalt shingles in estate gray. A proposed storage room walls will be wood sided as well with a hidden door to match the style. A proposed outdoor shower, 5 feet wide by 3 feet 6 inches deep, is located on the southeast corner of the rear facade. The proposed shower and door will be wood clapboard siding with a 4-inch reveal, and the door will be hidden within the wall. There is also a proposed cold plunge tub and outdoor sauna that will be located at the center of the rear facade, but specifications were not provided at this time. Properties throughout the historic district have rear accessory structures of varying sizes and uses, and this proposed structure has minimum visibility from the public right-of-way. We enter tonight's report and presentation into the proceedings.
Thank you. And the wood fence, there's an existing wood fence back there, right? And that's going to remain or at least be
That
reinstalled?
remains.
Okay. And there's not an alley back behind there?
Nope.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you.
Yep.
If the applicant would like to come forward, please state your name and address, and if there's anything like you to add, or if we could ask any questions.
Yeah, Jake Dubinsky, 112 South 7th.
Tory Fish, 112 South 7th.
Just the windows are going to be 2/2, I think she said.
2/2,
6/6.
right?
Yeah, just to
Okay.
match the existing, everything to match the existing.
Okay. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Have their own little Planet Fitness there with this.
Planet, those plunge pools are nuts. We will now open the evidentiary proceeding. Anyone wishing to submit evidence is asked to come to the podium now. Please state your name and address and present your evidence. Seeing none, we will close the evidentiary proceeding and move to commissioner deliberation. All set? Someone like to make a motion, please?
I move to approve with conditions the construction of an accessory structure. Details are shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application, and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in the staff report 1 through 6. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential as a whole. Applicable design standards: 1.6 Secretary of the Interior Standards, standards 1 to 4, 9 and 10, 2.5 accessory structures, standards 2 to 7, 2.9 archaeology, standards 1 to 4, 3.1 roof features and chimneys, standards 1 and 7, 3.2 exterior walls, standards 1, 4 to 6, 3.3 doors and windows, standards 2, 6 to 12, 3.4 foundations, standards 1, 7, 13, 15, 3.6 artificial materials, standards 4 to 6, 3.8 utilities and energy standards 2, 3, 7, 10, and 11.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Any items from staff to conclude the meeting?
Yes, just really quick, we had a COA workshop about the new design standards with Historic Wilmington on this past Saturday, and it was rainy, but we had about 11 people there, and it was, I think, very informative for the group. We had lots of questions, and handed out, Megan and myself were there, handed out lots of cards, and I felt very successful. And then I just wanted to let you guys know that the National Register Survey Project that we've been talking about for a couple of years now has an RFP out, and we are hoping to get enough responses and something signed before the end of the fiscal year so that we can begin that survey work this summer.
That RFP is open how long?
About a month.
Okay.
So if you know people, please send it to them. We looked at it and we decided to go from 6 districts to 4. 1, it's more manageable for staff. 2, is more manageable for the state SHPO office that is already struggling to take in the amount of information that just the main Wilmington Historic District alone will kind of consume. So that was a good advantage for us. And yeah, we're excited about it. So it's out there and we will see.
Thank you.
What comes in.
Anyone else, staff updates? Any items from the commission? No? Seeing none? I move that we conclude this meeting. Will there be a second?
Second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Thank you.